John likes tech and lives in Indiana, you know. Kevin likes the Dodgers and talks on the radio. John plays games on Xbox and on his Nintendo, while Kevin runs around LA with his mustachio. It's the Lack of Genius podcast, in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast. And we're making Lack of Genius history today, right, John?
We are. Well, I mean, it's possible even podcast history.
We're possibly making podcast history, yes.
Right, yeah. I mean, I went and took a quick look in the Apple Podcast app. I didn't find anything about this in there.
Yes.
So this may be the world's first podcast about
Joggling. Yeah. And we have a guest on. It's our history because it's our first guest by telephone. And let's bring him on before Barry Goldmeyer is on the line. Hello, Barry.
Yes, I'm here. How are you?
I'm good, man. Barry, we have a lot of ground to cover in this episode, so we'll get right in. But Barry is, I'll let you take a minute or two, Barry, to explain who you are. You're a joggler, and joggling is a combination of the words juggling and jogging. So yeah, it's running while juggling. And Barry, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm from Rockville, Maryland, and I feel a little bit awkward about being the expert because I don't know if I'm really like the expert. I mean, if you looked up like world's best joggler or world's best marathon juggler or something like that, you wouldn't find me. You wouldn't find me there. You definitely wouldn't find me. But I have been doing it since 1989, so I've been doing it a while. And I kind of specialize like in running with like 3 beanbags or 3 balls or something like that. But I've done a lot of stuff with like 5 balls and different props and like a lot of odd stuff like contortionist stuff. But I don't want to get too much into it because you guys, I'm the expert here and you guys know nothing. So you kind of have to go with what I say. Did you tell them how we met?
No, I would love to tell that story. Let's tell it together, in fact. So I'll set this up real quick that we met at SoFi Stadium, which is the new stadium here in LA. It's like one of the most state-of-the-art stadiums in the world. And I was there with one of my radio stations getting like a special little tour of the stadium and posting social stuff for it. Now, these tours are available to the public. And Barry, you were just on a public tour as taking it in as a fan, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so the very end of the tour, they take you all around the stadium. They bring you onto the field. And I'm on the field with like the film crew that I'm with and stuff. And I see this man running down the sideline, juggling footballs. And do you remember what I said, Barry?
Yeah. You asked me if I was a joggler. I was like, what? How did you know?
I said, are you a joggler? And I'll never forget, you looked at me like, you know what a joggler is? It made my life in that moment. And you said, yeah, I am a joggler. And then you asked me and I helped you. I took a little video of you joggling down the SoFi sideline as you were joggling some footballs, right?
Yeah, I think someone might have done it first. And then you asked me if I was a joggler. So I was like, I'll just get this guy to tape it or something like that.
Yes, exactly. You weren't sure that the people who took the video of you got the best angle of it. So you asked me, someone who at least knew what a joggler was, to take it for you.
Yeah.
And then I got an excited text from Kevin being like, I think we have a joggler for the podcast.
Yep. I text John immediately, Barry, because I got your contact info. I asked if you had any interest in being on the podcast, because I guess I'll say this about me. I ran in college, so I was a runner. I don't run very much now, but running is something that is very close to my heart. And when I was 15 years old, 14, something like that, 16 maybe, I taught myself to juggle. My dad taught me to juggle, and then I practiced that whole summer. And so I've been juggling for, 20 years or so. And so I've always wanted to be a joggler. So Barry, I know this is a position you're not used to being in or a silly thing to say, but I look up to you, man. You are doing something that I've always wanted to do, which is joggle. So I'm so excited that you're here right now, is I guess the bottom line.
Well, that's good. I don't think too many people look up to jogglers or look up to me. So.
Well, you might be right, because as we said,
each his own,
this may be the first ever podcast about joggling in the history of podcasts, joggling, or the world. Tidy up before we go any further with the show. Tidy up before we go. Fix our mistakes tonight. I wanna get it right. Tidy up. You didn't know I could sing too, huh, Barry? You didn't know I had those vocals. So yeah, Barry, I know, Barry, you said you listened to an episode or two. I think you listened to the ping pong episode, the table tennis. There I go again.
Right, yeah.
And the tidy up section is usually reserved for tidying up any errors that we made in the past, but it also includes tidying up any sort of business things that we have going on. And Barry, I didn't fill you in on this, but we had a social media thing going on leading up to this episode. And I put a challenge out to our podcast listeners, which we call loggers. Lack of Genius, the acronym is log, so our fans are called loggers. So I put out a question to the loggers where I, in honor of this episode, am going to juggle an item that gets voted on by the loggers. And so what I did is I presented 4 options total, and the first 2 options were between 3 pineapples and 3 bags of my dog Coconut's poop, which does not sound pleasant. And John is our webmaster and our social media guy. And what was the vote result between those 2?
Pineapple. By quite a bit. I don't remember the exact results though.
Pineapple won. I couldn't believe it. I thought 100% I was going to be juggling bags of my dog's poop. And I'll be honest, I'm grateful I'm not, but pineapples made the finals. And
to those of you that voted for the dog poop, we know who you are. and we salute you. Yeah,
I was going to say, you made the right choice. I don't want to knock the people who voted for pineapple, but I think dog poop was probably the right choice. The second vote was between peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and 3 bottles of Mentos and Diet Coke. And what won that one, John?
It was the PBJs.
Once again, total shock to me. I don't know how I would have managed to juggle 3 bottles of Diet Coke filled with Mentos blasting all over the place, but I was going to go out and buy goggles. I was ready to do it. Peanut butter and jelly won, which would be actually pretty insane also. I mean, so the final vote, I don't know the results to this yet, between pineapples, which sound very painful and difficult to juggle, and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which sound like a mess and very difficult. And the votes are in. John, what do you have for us?
It was a 1 vote difference.
1 vote! Oh my gosh.
Peanut butter and jelly won.
I'm going to be juggling peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
No, here's the thing, Kevin. You never specified if they were in a bag or not.
That's true. I could put them in a bag. I don't want to waste food. So here's what's going to happen. Barry, first of all, I'm curious what your thoughts on me juggling peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are. Does that sound like a juggleable item?
Yes, it helps if they are in a bag, but I definitely wouldn't want to do it in a race or whatever because, that's...
But also, Barry, you'd have a little snack for your race if you were joggling peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Something to keep in mind.
But then you'd have nothing to juggle. Or you'd have nothing to juggle if you ate your juggling props. You'd have nothing to juggle. So
this is why you're the expert.
What if you just take like 1 bite every so often?
Yeah, and then your joggling gets smaller and smaller. You know what I like to do, by the way, with my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches is put a little bit of honey in there. That's my little special secret. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are my favorite kind of sandwiches. I literally eat them almost every day. That's the honest truth. But now I'll be juggling them, and look out for a video. We'll see how we do this. My hands will probably get very sticky, but it'll be all in the name of promoting the wonderful sport of joggling. It's time to take a quiz or 2. Like a Genius podcast doing this for you. You may fail, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time. Don't really want this quiz to be tough. I just want to pass one cause I failed enough. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time. I can't believe this is finally happening. This feels like... It feels like a dream come true. We have our joggler, Barry Goldmeyer, on the line with us, ready to quiz us about joggling. Now, Barry, I'll let you hop in here with our first question here in a moment. Just for clarification, John and I have had a back and forth battle in terms of the overall total of wins and losses. And I believe I've won 10 episodes and John has won 9. I believe I'm up 1 on you, right, John?
Yeah, I think so.
And let's just say yes. And so you have a chance to tie me today based on Barry's questions. Barry, I'll just kind of hand this over to you and let you either jump in with a question or clarify what you got going on, but you ready to go?
Okay, yeah, well, I just want to start off by, you call me the expert. I don't know how I feel about being the expert and all that stuff. I don't know if it's really right, but because I am the expert, whatever I say goes, and whatever I say goes, I guess people have to believe that, and it's fact. So let's start with a practice question. I'm the only person that has joggled 3 footballs on SoFi Field.
Actually, I would say that that's true. Do you have any thoughts on that, John?
We know that he has.
Yeah, we know that he has.
But is he the only one that has?
It's only existed for about 2 years, but I'm willing to say that, yes, this is true. And I think Barry is too. Yeah. What do you got, Barry?
So I would say true. And because what I say goes. But there could be other people, but because I say it is, it is.
Well, it's now in a podcast, and that makes it fact.
Well, and if there is anyone out there that knows the opposite of this,
let us know.
Well, they don't have to say anything because we'll just say I'm the only one that's done it.
Let's keep Barry in the record books, the only person to ever joggle footballs on SoFi Stadium's field. Great warm-up question. So what do you got for number 1 for us?
So the first question, I had a very basic one, sort of just start off with, but Bill Gaddez kind of was the one that brought joggling races, like where everyone juggles, and it was done at a juggling festival. And about what year was this? Was this A, 1970, B, 1980, C, 1990, or D, the year 2000?
Interesting. So just to clarify, there's some sort of festival where joggling first sort of was born.
It's a juggling festival, and they have like different games and stuff. And one of them one day is the juggling races.
Is this kind of when joggling started?
Yeah, sort of. I don't know exactly how things start. We never know how things start, but it was the first time it was brought to a juggling festival.
But what Barry says goes, and so it's going to be a fact after this podcast.
and what were the options again, Barry?
A, 1970, B, 1980, C, 1990, or D, 2000.
I know what I'm going to pick, John. Do you know what you're going to pick?
Yeah, I'm going to go with B, 1980.
Okay, see, that's what I'm picking too. 1980 is what I'm thinking. That sounds like a reasonable time. That's 41 years ago, which is nuts. But I'm going to say, I'm just going to go with the 80s, and it sounds like John is too. Mm-hmm. How do we do, Barry?
Yeah, and you're both correct.
Hey, we each get a ding. Nice. Okay, good to know.
Now, here's a kind of a follow-up. Okay. I personally have joggled every decade, not including the 2020s, because 2020 is pandemic, but have I joggled every decade?
And your definition of joggling would be like officially in a race, like in some sort of
in one race during 1 year in the decade.
I'm going to say that's true. I think you did it. What do you think, John?
Same.
Yeah, we're both saying.
He says, well, no, actually, he started in 89.
Well, that's in the 80s.
So, right. But did he do a race?
Did he do a race? So I'm going to stick with true. John, what are you thinking? You thinking of going off the?
I'm going with false.
Oh, okay. We got our first different answer. What do you got, Barry? Have you done it?
It's true. That's how I got started. 1989. I went to a juggling festival there.
So which did you do first, Barry? Did you juggle first or run first?
Oh, I ran first, and then I got into juggling, and then I went to a juggling festival, and that's kind of how I put it together.
Opened your eyes.
Okay. Now, am I the only one? Really quickly, yes or no? True or false?
The only one to run in all 4 decades?
Yeah.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say you have company in that.
Same. I don't think you're the only one.
You both are correct.
So is there a group of you who have been a part of this?
No, there's one other guy, Albert Lucas. He's a professional juggler. He's really well known. So you didn't get the well known guy. Albert Lucas is a well known guy.
You're well known now, my friend.
Okay, well let's kind of move on. I got a lot of questions here. Okay. So this is recent. This is like hot off the press. Last week on Sunday, Jack Hershowitz became the oldest marathon joggler when he finished the New York City Marathon. Wow. How old is Jack? Is he A, 55, B, 65, C, 75, or D, 85?
55, 65, 75, or 85.
The oldest person to complete a marathon joggling, correct? Is that essentially what the question? Wow, and it was the New York Marathon last weekend. My goodness.
Yes.
I'm going to go with 75.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's 55. I think that's too young. 75 sounds like a good. What's this gentleman's name again?
Jack Hirschwitz.
Jack Hirschwitz.
Don't go looking it up.
No, yeah. Let me Google his name really quick. How do you spell Hirschwitz? No, I'm gonna push it. I'm gonna push it to the extreme. I'm gonna say he's 85 years old. And John is saying 75. What do we got, Barry?
Yep.
John's correct. 85 is like, so if you're 75 and running, you're one of the chosen ones. 85 is like crazy. There aren't 85 marathoners.
There may be an 85-year-old marathoning, but to think that they'd be joggling, maybe that was a bit of a exaggeration for me. Bit of optimism
that's
for
a bit of a stretch. Jack's pretty impressive here. And he actually did it in under 5 hours, and he may have been the oldest person that ran the New York Marathon last Sunday in under 5 hours. And he did it juggling.
And he juggled.
And I've been juggling with him at the New York Marathon for like 12, 15 years or something like that now. So. Wow. And I'm actually 55, so I'm actually 57, so I'm older than.
Is your plan to continue sustaining and maybe you'll break? Shoot, I already forgot his name.
Well, he set the goal very high.
Yeah,
he just seems. I don't think he realizes that like. This is like not normal, and I think he just kind of shows up and keeps running.
You got 20 years, Barry, to keep practicing.
Yes, we believe in you.
Well, I can tell it's getting harder. It's getting harder. I don't know, but I'll give it my best shot.
I mean, the fact that you can run a marathon, that says something. I can run a mile, maybe, with constant stops.
Maybe we should make John try to run just 100 meters while juggling, just to see what kind of mess that creates.
I can't juggle.
Well, where are we going now? So right now, just as a score update, John is winning 3-2. It's still very close. And we're ready for wherever you're taking us next, Barry.
Okay. So my next question is Perry Romanowski, who's I've run with in the Chicago Marathon before, has joggled the most consecutive days. About how many days is this? 1,500, 3,000, 4,500, or 6,000?
Wow. No matter what it is, this gentleman, again, his name is
Perry Romanowski.
Perry Romanowski. I'm not Googling his name.
He's from Chicago. I don't know if you would find out if you Googled it anyway.
Most consecutive days joggling. So this is.
I'm the expert. I'm the internet. That's not.
What you are the internet, Barry. This is any day on his own. So it's not necessarily a race, but he's gone out.
Yeah, so if he's sick, he still runs a mile juggling. If he's traveling somewhere and he's stuck in an airport, he still runs a mile. If there's a snowstorm in Chicago, he goes to like underneath a parking garage or something and he runs a mile there.
This is mighty impressive. So either 1,500, 3,000, 4,500, or 6,000. It's funny because right away I'm like, I really want to choose the highest one, but it bit me in the butt last time when I chose 85.
Well, I mean, it's just a little under 20 years. Like that's 18, 19 years, I think.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for doing that math for me. That sounds so absurd, but maybe he did.
I mean, the first number he gave us is 10 years.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you're here to do this math because that is phenomenal. Gosh, okay, now I'm scared to choose 6,000. I don't think I'm going to choose 6,000.
Right. I think it's B or C.
Yeah, I know which one I'm going to choose, and I'm between one of those two.
I think I'll just go with C.
Well, I was going to go with B, so this works out well. So I'm going to say B, 3,000 days. John, you're saying C, 4,500 days?
Yeah.
John's closest. It's around 45,000.
John wins again. Well, you say it's around 4,500?
Yeah, it's a little over that now, but
and counting because this is a current thing.
Yeah, and he's still going too, just like Jack. He's still going too.
Quick math: how many years is that?
12.3, so 12 and a quarter.
Just over 12 years. Yeah.
Well, so Barry, I know you're not going for a streak here, but is it something that is a very regular part of your life?
I do, but I don't make effort to do it every single day like that.
No, but
so usually if I do run like 3 days in a row, I may have tendency to want to take a day off.
Do you ever do it on a treadmill?
No. Some people have. But hey, I'm the expert, not you guys.
Where do you are you running in the street? Because that's
usually on a track, because a track is like flat, no potholes. But I don't always have a track, so sometimes I do have to go out on the roads or just have to make do.
Would you say like neighbors know you? They're like, oh, there's old Barry again doing his joggling thing?
No, but people have recognized me, and
they accept you for who you are.
They recognize me. Yeah, they know who I am. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. This had to do with Los Angeles. There was a relay team at these joggling races, Team Exerball, that won the mile relay in 1990 in Los Angeles. Approximately, what was their time? Was it A, 4 minutes, B, 4:30, C, 5, or D, 6 minutes?
4 minutes, 4:30, 5 minutes, or 6 minutes? Were those four choices?
What's their closest time?
I love this. John, my question, because I ran track in high school, so like I pay attention to the Olympics and stuff. Do you have a gauge for what like a really good mile time is?
I feel like 3 to 4 minutes from the Olympics, if memory serves.
Yeah, I don't know the world record offhand, but a sub 4 minute mile is insane. Like that's like,
right.
Just to take a moment of braggery for me, my best mile time ever, 4 minutes, 55 seconds when I was a 17-year-old in high school. I broke the 5 minute mark. So that's one person running. This is 4 people while joggling. Oh man, any of these times are very impressive.
I mean, my best mile time was like 10 minutes, and that was like middle school or high school.
I bet you could break it now, John.
No, I could maybe walk that faster than run it.
I'm between two choices right now. What are you leaning towards, John?
What were the options again?
4 minutes, 4 minutes, 30 seconds, 5 minutes, or 6 minutes?
I'm leaning towards the 6.
Okay, you're leaning towards the 6. See, I don't know how fast you can sprint while juggling, because full-on sprinters should relatively easily be able to get to the 4 minute mark. That's why I'm between 4.5 and 5 minutes, because you're juggling. I'm going to choose 4:30. I'm going to go on a limb and say 4:30. Are you choosing 6, John?
I am.
Okay, how do we do, Barry?
You're both wrong. It was under 4.
It was under 4 minutes?
Yeah.
They were full on sprinting then. There was no holding back.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, and one of their guys, they're all fast, but one of their guys, Owen Morris, who's part of the passing zone, he was like a collegiate runner. He ran like well under a minute.
Now, in a relay for joggling, in track, they hand off a baton?
Yeah, so what they did, there's like a little area of like, say, 10 or 15 meters where you don't really have to juggle. And so like someone would like kind of basically stop juggling, and then you hand off the ball to another person.
You do? Okay.
And then, so like if you were handing off to me, I have like, say, 2 balls in my left hand, and I'm holding my right hand before me, and you put the ball in my right hand. And then when I get it, I would start juggling. So it's sort of like a baton.
I feel like it has to be more like when one juggler tosses something to another juggler while they're juggling.
Yeah.
I feel like that would make this more interesting.
Does anybody do that? Does anybody try to do a consistent like toss?
Yeah, just when you're messing around, when you're goofing around or something, you could try something like that.
Have you done a relay? Have you done joggling relays?
Oh yeah, I've done so many. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I've done
Barry,
so many.
I want to be you so
I'm
bad.
a 4-decade guy, so
you are living my dream.
But I've run relays with all these guys. I've run relays with Albert Lucas. I've run relays with this guy Anthony Gatto, who's like greatest juggler, and I've run relay with Jack Pershowitz. So I've run relays with all these guys.
Barry, you need to know you are a big deal, my friend. Officially, you're a modest, humble man.
I've just been doing it all for like 4 decades. So after 4 decades, you kind of. I think happens.
Barry's been downplaying this, but John, I think we got a big name, man. I think we got to get here.
I think so.
People don't know me. They just, if I'm in the newspaper or something, they're like, this guy's running and juggling. They don't know who I am.
Oh, I love Barry, man. I am so happy with this.
So, anyway, I got another question for you. So trying to move on here.
Okay.
What major track event was joggling a part of? The Olympic qualifiers at the LA Coliseum, B, the Prefontaine Classic in Eugene, Oregon.
Oh.
C, the Penn Relays in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Or D, the World Championships in New York.
Wow. So joggling.
And this is only a 1 year thing. This was only like a 1 year thing.
Was it like officially part of it, or it was like an exhibition kind of thing? Like, can you clarify or no?
So what happened was, I could tell you a little bit about it because this is one of the hardest questions.
Yeah.
It started at noon, and the jogglers kind of started at like 11:50. So it was like an exhibition thing. So when the TV coverage started at noon, we were done.
Okay, got it. But there was, and you were there, it sounds like. Again, there was, the first one was at the LA Coliseum. It was, what was it again?
The LA Coliseum for Olympic qualifiers.
Olympic qualifiers.
B, the Prefontaine Classic in Eugene, Oregon. C, the Penn Relays in Philadelphia. Or D, the World Championships in New York.
All right. Well, just because I respect the man Prefontaine and I have an affinity for that culture, I'm gonna choose B, the Prefontaine Classic. What do you got, John?
I was just going to go with B just because it's Oregon.
Okay. All right. So we're both choosing Prefontaine Classic. What do we got, Barry?
And you're correct. It is B.
Hey, we both got it. Nice job, John.
So, and I was there. I was there when they did that. It was around 2001. Albert Lucas set everything up. He was a master promoter.
Cool.
I remember telling one guy about it, and he was like, wow, I'm really shocked and surprised that they would ask you to go. But even more impressive than that is how they got joggling in the Prefontaine Classic.
That is very cool. What a cool spotlight for joggling.
Okay. And so anyway, now I have like a lot of, some of these might kind of involve me, or they're more involved about me or whatever.
I can't get enough of you, Barry.
Okay. So in March 2020, I ran the LA Marathon days before the pandemic shut the world down. What was my act, and what did I juggle? Did I wear a Houston Asterix shirt and hat, juggling an Astros bat, a big soft Astros baseball, and an Astros trash can? That's A. B, was I Forrest Gump, hitting a ping pong ball with a ping pong paddle in my right hand while juggling two beanbags in my left hand?
Oh my gosh.
C, was I wearing a Nationals jersey, juggling two baseball bats and a big soft baseball?
Oh.
Or D, was I Kobe Bryant bouncing three basketballs?
Oh my gosh, my heart is warm right now. Up until I heard the Kobe Bryant one, I was gonna choose the Nationals because you're from DC, and I know we've talked in email a little bit about the Nationals. You know what's crazy, Barry, is right now, I don't even know if it's correct yet. I'm like seriously feeling emotional because I'm a big Laker fan. I grew up in the Kobe Bryant era, and I was devastated when Kobe lost his life. And that was in January of 2020, which would have been 3 months after this. So I'm going to guess that it was the Kobe thing. What do you got? What do you got, John?
I'm going to go with the Forrest Gump.
It was the Kobe Bryant.
Yeah,
three
give that to
basketballs.
Kevin. That's so cool, man.
And actually, Kobe had died like a month before that or whatever. So it was kind of a tricky question because the Astros scandal broke, and the Nationals won the World Series.
They won the World Series
at the end of 2019, and they beat the Dodgers too on the way.
Yeah, they did.
But I've done the Forrest Gump, the three baseball bats, or the National stuff. And
well, great question.
Now, was I the first person to ever bounce three basketballs in a marathon?
Because you're the internet and you're making I'm saying yes, you were. What do you got, John?
I'm going with yes.
Okay, we're saying yes. This was the first time.
No, I was not. There was a guy, Ryan McQuincy, who kind of like mentored me, and he made up the term drubbling, and he kind of took me under his wing and kind of
drubbling.
You know, and actually, I was a little concerned about it because I was like, well, what if the ball's hit and stuff like that? And he said, oh, you're fine, and you're getting old, so you better like do this before you get too old. So he told me to go ahead and do it. Okay, so here's an over under 2.5. How many decades have I joggled the Los Angeles Marathon in? Is it over two? Is it like three or more, or two or less?
I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to take the under.
It's 4.
It's 4. It's even more.
In 90s, I ran in the 90s with this guy, Mike Hebebrand, who was a big joggling guy then. Who, I guess he's kind of forgotten about now, but I remember Mike because he was kind of won a lot of the races and stuff. But anyway, in the 90s, I ran it with Mike Hebebrand. And then I ran in like 2009, and I ran a couple times in like 2010s. So it's 4 decades.
That's
So
pretty
it was
impressive.
over. Then I guess now just kind of moving on. Has anyone juggled 3 Star Wars swords in a marathon?
Oh God, I hope so. I'm choosing yes just because I hope so.
Same.
No, that was something I thought of, but I couldn't do it, and the swords would like break when I when I dropped them or whatever. I just couldn't do it. So the answer is no.
Were they store-bought lightsabers? Because maybe you could do like a custom-made
Yeah,
one.
they were. I went to the store and I bought them, and they were kind of hard to juggle, and then I dropped it and it kind of broke, and it never really got going. It was one of the failed ideas.
Well, you've opened the door for me to make custom lightsabers and figure out how to do this so that I can be the first.
Okay. Now, has anyone juggled 3 hockey sticks in a marathon?
Ooh, I'm going to say yes. John?
Yeah.
That's true. And after the Capitals won the Stanley Cup, I did a lot of races like that. It's very hard to juggle them in the wind. When it's windy, I just can't do it. So even if it's not a windy day, there could be a windy section.
Just do hockey pucks would be way easier. Do pucks instead of sticks.
See, again, I'm the expert here. So they aren't real hockey sticks. They aren't real hockey sticks. They're kind of like plastic ones that you would buy. So with the plastic ones, if they hit my head, it doesn't hurt.
Yes, smart.
A hockey puck's going to hurt.
Hockey puck will hurt.
So anyway, I've done that. Here's another question. Has anyone done a triathlon while juggling?
Oh my gosh, triathlon with the running, swimming, and biking. I think just logistically, I don't know how you juggle while you swim, and maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I'm going to say no for that reason alone.
Yeah, I'm saying no as well.
There have been people that have done that.
Wow, that's for both of us.
Was one of those people me?
Okay, well now I'm saying yes. What are you saying, John?
Same.
Okay, we're both saying yes that you've done a triathlon while joggling.
No, I've never really learned how to bike and juggle or swim and juggle, so it is not me. Here's another one. Has anyone run over hurdles while juggling?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes to that one too.
That's true.
Okay.
So you both are right. And can I do that?
All right.
I'm going to go with no.
I want the points to catch up, but I think no. I'm going to say no just based on what I've been hearing about you.
I don't know how to run and juggle over hurdles. I've never done that.
Bucket list. Okay,
now here's another question. Has anyone run a mile juggling with both arms behind their back?
I'm going to say yes. Somebody has done this.
Same.
Okay.
Yes.
You guys really believe someone can do a mile with both arms, juggling with both arms behind their back? Well, I can. I've done it before. I actually did longer than a mile. It was a 5K, and it took me over an hour.
How? You juggled behind your back?
Well, I have both arms behind my back.
Wait, I need a little clarification on this, though. You're running. Are you literally juggling with your hands and they're behind your back so you don't see what you're juggling? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, but the balls are kind of going in front of me. It's a contorted trick. It's like you put both arms behind your back and then you juggle. And it's kind of contorted, and it's kind of my thing. And so it's a kind of thing, like if you saw someone like juggling with both their arms behind their back, you'd be like, yeah, that's Barry does that stuff.
They call
Not many people do that.
Yeah, they call that the Barry. They call that the Barry.
Yeah, I don't think if I ran against someone and I ran a little over an hour in a 5K, I don't think anyone would beat me, even today. And that was like in the 90s when I did that.
This is going in the logbook, the log, by the way.
When I've been juggling footballs, who have I been the most? Which one have I done the most? A, RG3, B, Joe Flacco, C, Tom Brady juggling deflated footballs, or D, just wearing a lot of Ravens gear. And I've done all of them. I've done marathons in all of them. RG3, Joe Flacco, wearing Ravens gear.
Got it.
I mean, being from Maryland, I'm gonna have to go with Flacco.
Yeah, I have to say Flacco also. I'll say Flacco.
No, because I went crazy when Tom Brady with the deflated football. So, and I have an over-under with that. Have I done 10 or more marathons dressed as Tom Brady juggling deflated footballs?
I'm going to pick the opposite of whatever you're choosing, John, because I need points.
I'm going to go with the over.
Okay, I'm going to take the under.
It's over. It's like 20 or 30 or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
It's well over.
This is for me. So you really, look, Tom Brady and the Patriots are a pretty popular thing to hate. So I bet you get a lot of cheering unless you're doing the Boston Marathon.
Okay. Well, how many Boston marathons have I done dressed as Tom Brady juggling deflated footballs with 0.5?
Oh, you have done it.
Well, at 0.5 is the over-under. So it's either one or more.
What are you going to choose, John? I'm going to take the same.
I'm going to go over.
I'm going to say you've done 0, and John's saying you've done 1. I don't think you've done any.
I've never done the Boston Marathon dressed as Tom Brady juggling deflated footballs.
That's for you, John.
But that's kind of a funny one, though, because when I'm dressed as Tom Brady and juggling deflated footballs, runners from Boston or like the Patriots usually say something pretty clever to me, like, "Oh, that's too bad you like the Ravens," or that's too bad you don't like the Patriots. We got all these championship kind of things. Yeah. So that's how runners kind of are. But like people that write like blogs or the media, they might be like, "This guy's the worst." I hope he dies a painful death and all that stuff. But
I got to cut in because it's a close race. Right now, John is winning by 2. So what is the next question?
Here's an over-under. The total number of marathons I've done between 2007 and 2020 when the pandemic hit is it 100 or more or less than 100? Over
100 or less than 100? 100 or more or under 100?
So, I mean, we're talking on average 8 a year, give or take.
Ooh.
So almost 1 a month.
That sounds like a lot, doesn't it?
It does. But Barry's a runner. He's a joggler.
Barry's a machine. I'm going to choose opposite of you, John. I'm putting the onus on you.
So maybe this is a clinching question for you guys, and I don't know.
It might, yeah.
I'm going with over.
You're saying over, 100 or more. Okay, I'll take the under. What do we got, Barry?
Oh, it's well over. It's like about 200 or something.
John, you may have iced it with that one. You may have iced it.
So that's all that I had.
Wow.
I know I went a little bit over, but we got through it. So
that's okay, man. Barry, look, you've been awesome, man. We first of all, so thank you so much. I think we started this episode by saying we were going in the history book. So not only do we have the first ever joggling related podcast, we have the first ever telephone call guest for our Lack of Genius podcast. And also, Barry, you've set the world record for the amount of questions asked. I don't even know how many questions you asked, but you deserve a round of applause all around is all I'm saying.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on, Barry. For Lack of Genius business, we'll quickly say that we have our Thanksgiving episode next week, and maybe and you have a peanut butter and jelly juggling act by me to look forward to, and we send our gratitude to all of our loggers. And Barry, I know you said
I'll watch for you juggling the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So are you going to juggle them with the bags, or are you just going to like juggle them, like take a bite and like just juggle them until you drop them, or you drop them, you throw them out, you don't drop them, you eat the sandwich?
I think I'm going to put like some wax paper on the floor so that if it falls, I can still eat it because I don't want to waste food, or I'll let my dog eat it.
What if you get Uncrustables?
Oh, there's an idea, John. Uncrustables, Barry? They're pre-made PB&Js in the freezer. We got some options is what it sounds like.
Yeah, you could figure it out. Like I've told you, I tried like juggling with Star Wars stuff and Houston Asterisk. A lot of these things don't work, and
but you try them.
Some of these things, like say like the Forrest Gump thing, it's not a real ping pong ball. It's a foam golf ball. So you can't really go by like sort of the rules or what's official. You just otherwise you just can't do it. So you just kind of have to figure things out.
Well, Barry, you're the rule setter, and by my standards, you are the greatest joggler who has ever walked or joggled this earth. So we can't thank you enough for coming on, man.
That point can be disputed by many, I guess, but
not here, not on the Lack of Genius podcast. All right, Barry. Well, thanks again, my friend. We look forward to following your career for a long time to come, and thanks again for coming on our podcast, man.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, hopefully I'll be around another 20 years and be like Jack Hershowitz.
It's the Lack of Genius podcast. In your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus. That's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast. I thought 100% I was going to be juggling bags of my dog's poop.